I'm going to start recording. Hi, everyone. This is Jackie, and this is our training for the future 4 weeks to leadership trainers that we have for Tuesday nights. So let me just do a couple of updates, and then we'll kind of take you through the view of it. So we've had just a little bit of dialogue going on amongst us. And so overall, number one, our goal is that as trainers, they realize this is 4 weeks to leadership. So when they come on each Monday, just kind of that prelude to say hi and welcome, find out who they are, find out where they're from. So when you go into the first steps of welcoming them, the key is to have them have their camera on and to have them have their microphones on. This is a networking group. This is where training and Q&A and involvement are the key to their success. We are not here to have them sitting blindfolded and earplugs. So again, really as the trainers on that opening first few minutes as they come in, if they for some reason are at work, that's fine if you can at least have your camera on and keep your microphone down and type in the chat box. What's really helpful is to know who is there and who their leader is. And if for any reason, I don't want you guys to do a lot of extra steps. It's big enough of your heart and mind to give to the others in the nation doing this. I've not seen more than maybe 8 people at a time on these each week. So it's really easy. If you, as partners, maybe have one person welcome everybody and the other person maybe takes notes. New consultants a little different because there's going to be more attendees. But this future leader group, unless it gets out of hand and it's a burden, then we'll stop. Okay, you get to be honest with me. But I really would love to know personally as the regional, who is the consultant and who is her manager. I don't care about the other details. When did she join, her why? I'm not about that. But it helps me know who to reach out to as leaders to say, hey, she was on, follow up. Or I may know that that leader isn't involved in the business right now, and I may have to just do a little reach out and say hello to her. So I'm not going to, again, step in and be their coach. I'm not here for that, nor are you all. Follow the rules of thumb that they can join the WhatsApp group. Okay, so Lori and I are going to make all of you admin on each of those groups. I've not done that yet, so forgive me. I have all of that back office stuff to do today. But you'll all be admins, so you can always, when you're in your WhatsApp group, click to add participants. There's a link there. You can post it in the chat box. So I'll have our experts in just a minute give you some tips on how to do this, but you kind of want to look at how you plan your 60 minutes out. So when there's welcome and they're typing in or you're taking notes, if you just take a sheet of paper and write it, have one person doing that, and then take a picture and send it to me when the session is over. Again, I don't have a lot of time for micromanaging, but this is a really key important part of their future in the region to make sure I've got that leader involved. That's really where I find gaps in doing this by myself for the last 6 months. So again, if one of you can do the welcome and one is note-taking, just stay to that pattern when you do that first opening. You don't want to spend a lot of time opening, but just kind of that quick welcome. Remember, they're not recorded. Remember, we also don't really want leaders there. So Lori, when she did the Zoom instructions, how partners run the Zoom meeting, she did put in there some scripting, just some positive scripting to say, hey, it's great to have the leaders here to introduce us to their consultants. And then, we certainly want to say thank you, leaders, and we'll send you off. So we've got our private training for our consultants. So however you find it, ethically, authentically honest, feel free to do that, okay? So, and, leaders, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to Jackie or, take a look at the slides that are in our units. I will post all of our slides. Nothing is secret from the leaders. That's not what this is. They will be able to see it so they know what types of concept of training was given that week, okay? So they will have full access to that. I, again, will do a separate little video about our new structure this year just for leaders, okay? So I'll get all of that out as we kick off next week before I hit crazy travels for a couple of months. So I will certainly get all of that communication out. So that's kind of the main key thing that I would have that would matter in my follow-up. The second piece then is make sure they get into the 4 Weeks to Leadership WhatsApp group. Okay, so you can send them that link. Again, the person who is maybe not speaking in the opening can post in the chat box, can be taking notes, and that welcome person would then introduce themselves, have everybody else introduce themselves, and kind of give the etiquette. Cameras on, please. Microphones on, please. And again, we will post at the end of each session. When there's new members, we'll just keep posting that workbook, or we'll show them where to find it in units. I will be making this weekend the whole new SMART 4 Weeks to Leadership units and the 4 Weeks to Launch units. So we want them to go find it. You don't have to email people, okay? The leaders will all have a master copy. And I don't like to send those out until, you know, we've all at least looked at it and agreed to it, and it'll change week to week, and it won't be final until at least the first 3 months. Then we'll look at doing a mini recording. Okay, so again, you can kind of see that I don't have anything black and white. This is where your two personalities and your expertise will come into play. Okay, but I really took the concept of who, what, where, when, how, and why do you become a leader? And really that was the key to the different 4 sections that we'll boogie through here. So let me go to my official master trainers and ask them, I'm not gonna read the Zoom sheet to you, okay? You can really read it verbatim. Zoom is nothing too complicated. Many of you have some experience with it. We're not recording, so we don't need you to be doing all the YouTube stuff and all of that. So as master trainers, Vicki, Gail, Marie, any tips or advice in managing time, managing your audience, one doing camera, one doing notes, timing of the night, anything you have for tips that you learned along the way if you think back?
I think it's really good to have, like you said, 2 people, one do one thing, one do the other. And the way Michelle and I did it was we knew what we were going to speak on each slide. So we kind of went back and forth like that, and that worked out really well. We knew what, you know, what our role was. And one person on the chat is really good, you know, taking any chat messages and that kind of stuff.
You said something really key. The reason for one of the things that I will be doing, let me pause and go back 2 things. One, I have a train the trainer, how to be the best presenter, how to create slides, how to speak, colors on your slides, all of those things. I'm going to be hosting that training for all trainers, whether you've been there once or not, and for all of our new trainers. It will literally be 1, 2, 3 weeks from today, same time, same station, okay? I will record it, but you will see in there that one of the things when you're doing training is that you want to switch speakers. So one of the things that our trainers, the first quarter, if I could look back 6 months, the first 6 months they were all doing this with a partner, is that we found you get to know your slides first. The problem is if you start editing, you haven't even gotten a gist of why things were there, right? This was all put together with a lot of experience from the Phillips, myself, you know, doing this for the last 6 months. So I always say try them enough times. Practice yourself, practice with your partner, practice the live thing. We're not after perfection, but when you practice, you'll start to see, you know, this really doesn't fit, or it's not fitting the way we present it. I know, like for Vicki, with her week, they ended up doing more hands-on display than they did slides, but you don't know until you try it first. right? So I would say give it a shot unless it's really that bad, because we probably went from 15 to 20 slides down to about 5 to 7 each week, but we wouldn't have known what was needed until we did it repetitiously, the same week, the same content again and again. So, and again, it's not that you have to deliver it all, because it may adapt to the audience. In the training presentation, again, it's talking about, if you can, about every 10 minutes. People's attention span is about 10 to 12 minutes maximum with full-on training. So you want to shift it up. Either get off camera or have a different speaker, go back to the audience and ask a question, right? So you're constantly trying to go place to place. So if you have 12 slides, you really each are only doing 3 slides, take a break, 3 slides, take a break, right? So that it goes back and forth. Remember, it's more training than coaching. So when you get through that, best thing, let's say it's role playing. You know, you make a contact list, you're gonna role play. Go ahead and do live role playing together and just, you know, play it out and practice. I think that's the gap that people have. We tell them, but we didn't do a hands-on experience. Or one of the things I found was I would say, okay, let's make that list. So I'd pull out the memory jogger and I would say, okay, you know what? Sometimes we don't even think about the people we see. And I always love like the barber shop, the hair salon, the dry cleaners. I love that section of the memory jogger. And I would say, okay, I want you to think about people who have qualities, because we went to the warm list. Now I'm doing the cold list. And I would have this experience with them where I said, okay, think about it. When you walk into the dry cleaners, where do you guys go like almost weekly? And we talk about it. Great. Who do you see? What qualities do you see in them? So who stands out, like somebody who would appreciate this, love this? Maybe they hate their job and you'd love to make them smile every day because they hate working at the gas station. So we just really talked about that. And then I would say, okay, pick a name and let's just play it out. What would you say? What do we open up? We only did it for a few minutes, but boy, did it help them. They'd get done. And by the time at the end, I always end every call with, tell me the top 2 takeaways from tonight. What are the top 2 action steps for this week that you're going to do based on what we gained from tonight? Because I always want to know, what did you learn, but what will you apply? They're 2 completely different questions, right? So you'll see I use that weekly sheet at the beginning of every session. Why? Because if they don't set goals with their manager, you are not there to map out their numbers. Their job with their manager every week is to literally make the whole 1-month plan. So at week 1, their homework is to fill out that sheet with their manager, my monthly goals, and then they break it down. So when they come to the call, we use those questions on top very quickly. You're not there for a half hour doing this. Great. So in 1 minute, who has something that worked last week? You set a plan and it worked. Great. Find something good. There's always good. Then what did you try that didn't work? It's okay to be negative because someone else had it too, right? So, and you just trust it and you let it go. And then you, at the end of the call comes that last question on that sheet. So what will you do different this week based on this week's call? They always ended every call typically with, oh my gosh, I've got a big list of people. And some of them just literally started like private messaging. BJ with Janice Todd. Oh my gosh, I think she messaged me every 3 days and just said what she was doing. And I'm like, cool. I mean, that's great. She's always talking to Janice, but it's like she just needed to know she was doing and applying what she wants. So I would say go back and do that in the WhatsApp group, right? So that's our goal, is to lead them to inspire each other in that group, okay? So just kind of that overview. But okay, so Vicki, thank you for that, because switching is important. I will do some presentation tips for you. But I wanted you to see there's also tools that we will use every week that will not change. And that your accountability is not helping them with the plan. They have a 15 to 20 minute call every week with their leader, and then a daily check-in. I literally did like the new consultant orientation in the workbook. I did a future leader checklist of what they need to do. to make sure they qualify. So if you look in that 4 Weeks to Leadership workbook, I did the same format. But now you're getting ready to promote. So it's in there. You do not have to make anything up. If you print that workbook and just look at what's in there, that's their toolkit we constantly refer back to beyond any of the training we add in. Okay? So thank you, Vicki. Gail, anything else you can think of that helped you as partners with Evelyn in your weekly trainings?
You touched on a lot of it. It's just being on camera and practice. They get to think in their head more than they apply. And so when you do the role playing or picture, if you will, or what if, or who do you go see every day? You know, if you're always going to the hospital, who's do you go to? Are you getting gas? Are you going to the grocery store? You know, and making that list. And well, for ours, it was more camera time, except for when it was about the tools, so that they could physically see the tools as opposed to seeing a slide, because there are so many. And then we guided them to the workbook, because there's plenty more in Jafra Biz if you just go to non-retail, you know.
Right, right. Excellent. Yeah, so for them, we found, why do slides when you can sit and show it, right? They were really a good show and tell because they were doing tools. Yeah. Leadership is a little different that way. It's a little different. We're not here to do basic things. They can go back to Monday night and watch the recordings if they want that, right? So this is completely about sponsoring and developing your team to be VIPs, earn welcome to Jafra, right? And then look for your next leader. So our goal is they go from manager, they earn their new manager bonuses, and they get ready to move right to DM1. That's really what we're here to do. And the orientation, when I do it after they qualify, does that next step with them. Okay. So that's really what it is that we're after, to help them do it in 4 weeks. If for any reason they don't, they are allowed to come back and make sure it happens next month. So I don't want them to feel like, oh, I'm not qualifying. I don't mind 2 months in a row. Some people need that. That's okay, right? So it's okay. So, all right.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Coming from the basics, the 4 weeks to launch, to the leadership, who adds them into the WhatsApp? I mean, do they choose to? No,
only if they attend. There's no moving from one to the other.
Okay.
It's not like, hey, you finished 4 weeks, now go to the next 4.
Okay.
This is only for consultants ready to move to leadership.
Okay.
End of story.
Adds them to the WhatsApp. The leader contacts
you add them in. No, you add them in. Are you talking leaders or are you talking consultants?
I'm talking leaders.
I will do the leaders once I reach out to them and say your consultant was on.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I got it straight. I missed my bubble of the question. So, yeah, so you can add the consultant.
So as they come on, you'll notify them. Okay.
I would really rather do that this year instead of just adding them. I'd rather just, hey, we want you to know Mary showed up on Tuesday night, and she's now in the WhatsApp group. And so this is what she has. I'll send her that workbook, because again, I don't know that the leaders even understand what we have. I could communicate for 6 months and no one will probably get it, right?
I think that was a big disconnect.
Oh, huge. So I want more of a structure. Like if I know Mary Hugstad's consultant came on, I'm going to send Mary the email with the workbook. With my little 10-minute message, hey, this is what we do on Tuesday nights. Congrats, you had someone show up, right? And then I can text her and say, please look at your email. I may not be able to talk to everybody every week, but she's now in the loop. And then, you know, she'll say, great, put me in the WhatsApp group, rather than me assume they want to. So I'm going to do a little bit more hands-on with that. So that's a great question. Okay.
So you are going to add the leaders into the WhatsApp?
They're already in the leadership group?
Right. No, in the in the
leadership.
Yeah, they are. My Smart Start Advanced had the leaders if a consultant joined it.
Okay.
I was in control of that whole group. So, but I'm going to do a little bit change. I don't want you to do that, because I want to know my system that she has the workbook. She's been notified that Mary was on Tuesday night. I want them to be fully engaged with feedback to me that says, cool, I got it, right? Otherwise, we're just training people and no one's helping this consultant. And I
Right.
don't want egg on her
Or they're
face.
not close to their leader, physically, or there's so I
Right.
love that system.
Yeah, that's why I will do that piece. I'm really glad you asked that question. Your role is just to add the consultants in there,
Okay.
right? And then I'll turn around and do the more clear communication to that leader.
To connect. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, good question. Go ahead, Donna.
Where do I find the 4 weeks to leadership workbook? And I know you probably have sent it many
WhatsApp.
times. Where is it?
Everything's
It's
in WhatsApp.
So I have to just scroll through the whole thing.
Yep.
Or is it currently sent or
It's
way
only
back?
under the trainer one.
Yeah, it's only
Yeah,
under the trainer.
extraordinaire. Trainer
Okay.
extraordinaire.
Got it. Thank
Yep,
you.
everything's there and there's not that much in there.
Being gone for 15 days, whatever.
No, I
So
get it.
really
Don't
looked
worry
at
about it.
everything.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you, Gail. That was good. Yes, Susan.
Yeah, do you want the other trainers on each week with people initially when we're doing this? Like week 1, 2, whatever. It's not our week. Do you want other people on? Because I know sometimes they were on, weren't they? In the other group? No. Okay. All right.
No, there's really no reason.
No reason?
I feel as leader, this is just me as a human. Sometimes that feels intimidating when everybody's watching you, right? And you're
Right.
just learning it.
Right.
If you're comfortable with that and you want other people on there as trainers to give feedback or you're just observing, that's up to you. I just want you to be free and find your style. And I think when you're fully by yourself as two leaders, you really have the freedom to do that. That's me. I don't
Yeah,
know,
that's fine.
Vicky, Gail, Marie, you feel the
I
same?
say trust your leaders. They're there to, if you have new people coming on and we're all
Yeah, I
there.
think
with
you
the
mean
I
like-
didn't mean
Yeah,
that
and
they were
like, do I
looking at-
want to go on
No.
week 2, even though week 4 is my week? Is that what you're talking
Yes,
about?
she's just saying, should we as trainers be on the other?
Yeah, just for support.
No,
Nothing. Okay. All right.
I
That's
don't
all.
think so. I want you to just be on your own and figure it out. You'll be fine. There's
Okay.
nothing you can screw up on. That's all I can tell you. There is no mistakes. There's no problems.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
really just, you've got content, you've got people, just, again, figure out your personality styles and have fun with it. Really, it's fun. It's not heavy. You're not responsible for their outcome. It's
Yeah.
like, just go there and have some fun and be excited for them. And they get to meet, I love, they have 8 different personalities of leaders.
Mhm.
Right? So
Yeah.
that's my favorite part. So anyway, so Esther, I don't know, it's all in there. Don't worry, I'll email it when we're done. So thank you for that. Okay, Marie, anything else you would add to it as a trainer?
Couple things. I love that if you're going to ask a question, limit it in 1 minute, because sometimes you'll get people that don't want to talk for a half hour, and then it gets kind of awkward. Sometimes you don't want to cut them off. Where do I tell them to stop? So I love that. That's really important. Another question I have is, are we encouraging leaders to be on the call with, I have people who want to requalify who are leaders, which is fine. I told them to go on. But for example, if I have a new consultant on and I'm on the call with her, because sometimes if you get a lot of leaders that are already leaders on your call, it's kind of hard because they kind of want to monopolize the conversation.
No,
as well
we don't
too.
want leaders
So-
anywhere.
Okay, so there's just when you're addressing a question or addressing the group, make sure that you're addressing so the consultants that are on, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
don't-
we ask the leaders to leave if you read the
Right.
Zoom page.
right, okay, yeah.
And I will clearly message that on Monday and in
Yeah.
my video to leaders of our new 2020 structure.
Okay,
If
good.
they want to observe it, they can look at the slides for the 4 weeks to leadership. If they want to observe the 4 weeks to launch, their recordings and slides will be in the unit.
Right.
I don't, because it changes how you coach your consultants, and leaders always monopolize. They don't mean to, but they do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And then the other thing too was, like we have been saying, to practice so that, if you feel comfortable doing one part of it, then do it and let the other person do it. And we had Lori, we just had one person who controlled the slides instead of
Mhm.
having 2 people trying to flip back and forth. So that was just another point too. And not to keep the slide up all the time. So when you're done with it, stop sharing it, like you said, so you can see the people. So if somebody's talking, you can actually see a face. because
Yes.
it's kind of crazy talking to a slide.
Yeah, Neil always did that in the Success Squad. It made me crazy. I'm like,
Yeah.
get to the audience. Like,
Yeah.
stop talking at a
Yeah.
slide.
You
No,
just
it's
stop
true.
share. You just do
That's
the
a
stop
really
share.
good point.
And then,
Yes.
and then you'll be on, or whoever's talking will be on as well too. And then I just had one other question, because I never had to log into the Zoom, because Lori was always did it. So will she give us her information? I mean, how do we?
It's all in your group already.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Perfect. All
I
right.
sent everything this morning. We made a one-page simple document
Okay.
with
Perfect.
all the tips you need. And then we used the training we did last year for
Okay.
onboarding people last year and the year before for
All
training.
right.
So,
Okay. Perfect.
but really the one-page sheet tells you everything.
Okay. Perfect.
Did it really easy this year.
Perfect. All right. That
Okay.
was all I had. But yeah, just
And
have fun with it.
Just know if we get in a freakazoid, okay, if something's going wrong on Zoom and you're logging in, go into the Trainers Extraordinaire group and just say, help, Zoom problems. One of us, 16, 17, will pop in. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
So not a big deal whatsoever. Okay?
Okay.
So there's no need for Lori. What's Lori got to switch? What did she type? What do you mean?
I got something from Lori on Facebook that she already did week 2 for us, made us the administrator. So now
wonderful.
Esther and I are week 3.
In the
So-
Amber region.
Everybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody has access to be a.
Yeah, I don't think it matters what week.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay.
So
Thank
you just have the admin option.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll just double check with her. So thanks for letting me know. Okay. All right. I'm ready to boogie. So here we go. All I'm going to share, and I'm not reading, I'm just going to do quick concepts. Okay. So bear with me here as I get my screen ready. Okay. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Let me minimize all this stuff. Okay. So going to the leadership workbook, you can see, like I said, the intention was to simplify it into what does it mean and what's my why. And then again, where can it take me? I really did. Then we've got how do I sponsor and who, when and where do I help others and or meet other people, and then what to do to cross that finish line. You can see here, again, I'm not going to read, but when you print it and take a look at it, you just got all this information. So I don't expect you to know it today, for gosh sakes. So print it and kind of study it, and then set up a practice time or two with your partner. And if we take a look at the action steps, that's just, again, how do you get ready? Remember the good old-fashioned twig meetings? I put that in there. Some people have time to prepare for that. Some do not, because they're new. If we look at most of the new managers in the last 2 years, they go from consultant to leader. They don't have time for a twig. That's okay, but you can still do something fun on Zoom. So again, we just help them with that, getting a Facebook group page with their team, using the 4 weeks to launch workbook to guide their team. I put in the workbook how to check their team progress with reports. Okay, so specifically week 1, week 2, whatever, that's a really key tool that we want to refer them to, so they start to use their reports. It's already done, it's in Jafra Biz, but I put it in here. Okay, so anyway, what else do we have? Set up their team challenges, take a manager photo, a team photo, blah blah blah. Okay, and notice, be there every Tuesday with camera and microphone on. Okay, really, really key. So you may find in week 1, this might be, or one of your weeks, this might be a reference that you can use. You may not, you may need to do this every week. You don't know until you know the audience. I would always want to know how many sessions of the 4 have they been to, right? So a lot of them pop into one and miss the other 3. So that's okay. Just get to know your audience 5 minutes in the beginning so you know what you're working with. This will get better with time. It's going to be really sketchy and edgy when you start. I promise you that, because it's new. Then we just give them these are just some key things in here. We talk about making sure they're new consultants, plug into Monday night. They work with those new consultant packs because they only get them once. Don't assume they know a thing. I will tell you they knew less than I knew. So we talk about doing launch or ribbon cutting parties or debuts for their new consultants. guiding their new consultants. I put them right into management role on what to focus their new consultants on to not leave gifts and prizes on the table. Everybody loves free stuff. We talked about 50% is available now in month one, how $400 is the key. Again, the most important thing they do with every person they sponsor is that everyone joins with their first business buddy or gig girlfriend. So they're on their way to 2 paychecks just like you. So that's our key, is really that page tells them exactly what to do and how to prepare. All that's in here now is the pictures of the program. So you've got them handy. You don't have to create things. That workbook on how to watch and track their branch, that's in there. These sheets are the same sheets that they do in 4 weeks to launch. It shouldn't change. What do they have in their income producing activities this week? What are they? They're these things, okay? If they don't have it in their calendar, they don't plan to succeed. Then what do they know their team is going to do that week? So we really talk about IPAs, right? And tracking that. How many activities? They need to do at least 2 a day to become a leader that's going to stay, honestly, sustainable and retain their team. There's the memory jogger again. So we set them up to always come with their list, have their list. And this is what we review each week. Again, very simple. The key questions really don't change. In that opening where you're welcoming them and maybe 10 minutes of share time, that's 15 minutes right there. Then you've got 3 little segments of training, basically. Or 2 segments if you want to do 5 slides, and then you do Q&A. That's cool. Either way, it's just so we keep this consistency. When they're a leader, remember, if we don't use our tools, then they think they have to be really good. When they see it's a tool and you keep using it and showing it, then they know they can duplicate you. So this is, again, the most important thing they do with their leader each week. All we're doing is networking by these key questions, okay? So beyond that, that's just their content information. This, again, is where we just list the names of all of their trainers. And this is that star chart where they can put the names of their teams. And notice we went far past manager with 4 and started moving them to district manager, okay? So you can see how that's going to lead to their new manager orientation. This is also really key, specifically more so towards the end of the time, and this again launches into my orientation, to make sure they stay really focused on their personal business, working with their team, so on and so forth. So the last 2 are kind of getting them their tools ready to go forward as well. Again, I just put in a couple of the slides. What does it take to be a manager? Just because we don't have the comp guide right now. And this is a summary sheet Lori and I made on everything available, because we really have 4 different leadership levels with 8 titles. So they don't need to know all of this, but it just grows and grows and grows the more you do and develop others to do what you do. The most important thing is this is a numbers game. Every 4 people you invite will yield a recruiting conversation. And out of every 3 recruiting conversations you typically sponsor. That is the norm of sponsoring in what we call OCI. Observing people, whether it's Facebook, at a party, when you're out prospecting, people you know in your phone book, complimenting and connecting and inviting them to see if they can just get together and have an interview to see if Jafra fits. So we really just kind of keep the core crux of how many. I'm going to fix this one because I made one that adapts to January in the original calendar. So I will add that new one in because those dates are off. So we just really kept the main tools within the workbook, okay? So I don't want more than that. I could take some out, but I feel like this is what you use the rest of your life, right? So any feedback, thoughts, additions, edits?
I didn't.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Whoever was.
The screen that you and Lori made with the manager, district manager, I love that because it's something they can look towards and go, you know what, I want that next level. I want that. So I like that.
Yeah, thank you. We because you know everything I studied, it took us a while to figure it out. It was like because if you say 8 levels, it's too much in direct selling. You typically want to narrow it down. I'm like, well, we really only have 4 levels. There's just a couple of levels at each level.
Right.
So so that kind of seemed to help. It's a lot of detail, but I don't. Some people know comp plan. Some know it,
and go,
so
oh,
it's
well,
there for education simplicity.
I like it.
So thank you. Okay, anybody else?
This was just an administrative type question on that sheet, on that slide that you had that showed who the trainers were. Do you
Mhm.
say what weeks they're on, or is it just listing names?
No, I just listed it.
Okay.
Not a big deal. I just put it in there so that they knew the different names of the trainers.
Okay.
Because sometimes somebody might have to sub for somebody too. So
Yeah, I just listed everybody. I don't have weeks. I don't have who's with who. I just listed names. So, okay, that's the workbook they will get. We will post that in the WhatsApp group. As I see new people added, we can post it there. I'm not going to go find their email out of 10,000 consultants. I just can't do that. But I will send it to the leader as well so she could email it. Okay, so we'll just do it there. You can always upload in the chat box the workbook as well. So you can just go in there, you can upload a file, and they can download it right there in the middle of your meeting too. So if you find you have someone new and they don't have the workbook, I have no other way to get that to them, but you can also show them that in units, it's always there. Okay, so we'll make sure they get it. I just don't want you having to email, text people. I don't want you doing that admin stuff. Just know it's always somewhere for them.
Yeah.
Did
Okay?
I hear you right? You said that workbook is in units on Facebook?
It will
Did I
be. I
hear-
have to get that all up this weekend.
Okay, okay. Because I was going to say, if it's there, then I'll just go grab it there. But
No, it's okay. I wanted to just quickly boogie today and get any quick flash looks at it. And I don't care if we start editing. It's at least got content. It doesn't really matter if we edit it along the way. And then I'll make the units again this weekend. I have to redo all those units, so it's just a whole lot more work. So I'll get that done this weekend. Okay. So, all right. How does the workbook look overall? We okay?
love it.
Okay. All right. Let me just keep boogieing, and then we're just going to do purpose of the slides. You'll see how it all aligns. Bear with me here. Okay. So as you start, this would be week 1. So as I just click quick, it's where, again, we've got the welcome committee kicking this off, Vicki and Gail. What is a CEO? They chase every opportunity. Remember, this is exciting. You know, we welcome you. Who's your name? Who's your manager? Where you live? Great. So again, winning mindset. In order to have a winning performance, you can use it. You can take it out. Don't care. It's just one of those things. It's sitting there as just kind of, you know, leadership is a mindset. From here, again, I don't want to read all of it. These were some notes we had from our pilot team. Leadership's not a title. It's not defined. Your leadership is defined by attitudes and activities. So just a couple of top notes that we feel really important. I find that when these future managers come in, they go, how do I motivate my team? How do I get my team to do something? So that's literally every week. If I said, tell me the top 2 things that you most want to know, it was always there. So the key was that we talked about you never arrive, right? You will always sponsor. You will always help others grow to leadership. And that you are there to develop people's skills and talents. Be committed to the outcome, not attached to it. And have responsibilities to people, but you're not responsible for what they do or don't do. So we talk about that right away because it's the hardest part when you start sponsoring. So here again, what is the first week about? What does it take to be a leader? What does a leader do? What is my why? We really want to help them dig into that why. They can do more of it in depth with their leader, but what does it mean? What will it feel like? What is that? Why does it matter to you to help people to be a team leader? So kind of a little bit of fun with that. And then we just focus on the only way you grow a team is being exposed to more people. So you've got to have a calendar that looks like you're doing income producing activities. If you're not going to meet enough people or make enough money that you could show people how to make money. So it's really talking about that. And our key tool again is that weekly review. So week 1 is the what and the why. And then how do I get there? So we just review what it takes. We review the new manager bonus. If they're re-qualifying, again, don't forget, it's only for first-time new leaders. Okay, this is not for re-qualified managers. We break it down. We tell them to pick a team name. And this is where after I go through information, I just say, hey, type in the chat box. Remember, if you ask the audience, it takes 10 minutes. If you do a chat box, it takes 10 seconds. So it's where you might say, hey, if you've got a team name, type it in the chat box. Or they might go, I don't know what that is, right? Because I let them interrupt me while I'm sharing a slide. They might not know that. So I'm like, do you know your leader's team name? So maybe you can type that, right? So I try to break it down that it's 600 team sales a week. This is what you need. But look at, with VIPs or welcome to Jafra, it works so easy. If 4 people did 400, and then let's say you did 800, you'd be at 24. Here's another formula. Instead of 4, why not have 5? There's 2,000 and you do 400. So I try to give them a little formulation of what that might look like. And then again, they're going to set plans with their manager. They're going to share their team goals with their team, and they're going to plan for a celebration next month. Okay? So that's what to do. What else is...
Real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
For the qualifying, the individual only has available 500. So she can do 8, but only 500 is towards that 2,400.
No, that's the iPad. We don't have that anymore.
No. Yeah? I thought when you qualify, the new manager only.
That's iPad.
That's part of the Fast Start.
We don't have that anymore.
Kinda. That's all gone, Gil.
Okay. Thank you. I missed that.
Like, trust me, I know that one. Okay, so let me go to, bear with me, did I share my screen again?
Sorry.
Okay. That's okay, no worries. Good question. Okay, so then we just say, but wait, there's more, right? So once you're manager and you help someone else do what you do, every time, this is 1 group, 2 group, 3 group, look at what tends to happen, okay? Don't get too detailed. The purpose is showing them the money. So what is a direct? What is an indirect? And that's all you're really showing. You'll see the next slide again. Forgive me really quick. This is what Lori and I did too. We took these titles and we said 1 group, 2 group, 3, 5, 7, 10, 15. See the 3 titles alongside manager in red? We're just showing them. What a generation 1 is when someone else becomes a leader. Then they promote leaders, then they promote. It's like the generations of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, and so on. So we're just showing them indirect and direct. Direct branches, Gen 1, indirect, direct, Gen 2, indirect, direct, Gen 3. I just use the names of the people on the webinar to show them, okay? I don't do details, I don't get too stuck, but I'm just teaching a bit where it goes. This is in your workbook, so I just want you to be able to take a look at what that means. Remember, district manager had 3 titles, director had 3 titles, and ambassador. And what is available? There's bonuses. There's quarterly bonuses of 500. You can mention it, but we're not going to train on it yet. A Mazda program. There's more commission here. There's now a new group bonus, quarterly bonus, a move up new title bonus. So you're double dipping bonuses versus one over here. And then the car. We just keep looking at what are they adding in. Oh, wait, now here you've got life insurance. Look at your bonus went up to, X amount of dollars, 2,000. But when you help someone else do it, there's even bonuses at the director level. So we just show the differences. Do not do the details. They'll freak their eyes out, okay? But this is something they can use as a reference with their manager. There's the what. So there's a fun place to pause. Go to the next speaker. And then my why. What is my why? So what does that mean? This is where, again, You could do some fun things. Why do you want to be a leader? Why do you want to help others? What does that income mean to you and your family? This is where, again, you could put this slide up, have them write down, and then come back and do some shares. And maybe one of you tell your story, okay? So who's ever doing this section would be able to do that. And then this is optional. I'm not sure about it, but these are really good for this reason. There's 8 habits for direct sellers. Again, time frame, 4 weeks. 2, create visuals. So all those whys, put pictures up on your refrigerator. Tell your family what you're doing. Let them know what it's going to add to their family. Number 3, positive words, talk positive, blah, blah, blah. 4, the weekly planning sheet. This is why it mattered. This is how we go into and end with the weekly planning sheet. Look at number 5, IPAs. We already talked about that. Sorry, bear with me, sorry. Again, you're quickly top noting. Don't read word for word, but IPAs, we just showed you that worksheet. It's in your workbook. 6, be accountable to that coach. We told you that in the checklist. 7, feed your mind with successful people. Plan training time every week. You've got Tuesdays, you've got your coach, and if there's a subject you're stuck on, you can find it in the units and you can find it in Beautiful. So we're just teaching them that training and coaching is every week. And number 8, remember, if you're slow on time, learn to delegate. And that's it. It then goes into, great, we're going to just show you this sheet. It's in your workbook. How do you track your team? Work with your manager on that. And this is your homework. Learn your report and do your monthly goals. This is key with your leader because we'll start each session with these questions. Okay, that's really it. Okay, so again, quick, fast week scroll, but that's what it is. Okay, how does that look? Make sense? Okay. All right, week 2. All right, as we go to week 2, really quick, week 2 is, again, now how? How do I keep planning for success? How do I keep sponsoring? How do I manage and plan my time? Okay, let's get to the how-tos. Same thing, we do these key questions. Tonight, we're going to keep building their list and filling in their calendar with IPAs and activities and plans. So now we talk about what are the activities to run a business. You have 3 buckets. You are doing the personal business, you are doing sponsoring, and you are developing your new consultants. And or in the future, you'll be developing them into leaders. So this is based on 20 hours. If you can't work 20 hours, you do 10 hours, but the percentage of the buckets do not change. You do 10 hours on personal business, 6 hours on recruiting, 4 hours on developing people and working with your team. So again, if it's 10 hours, it drops down to 5, it drops down to 3, it drops down to 2. But this is critical because time balancing is where we don't achieve our goals. And so I'm not going to read all of this, but we literally show them, what does personal business mean? It's this. What does sponsoring mean? Inviting people daily, having recruiting interviews or conversations for 15 to 30 minutes to see if it's a fit. You don't invite and recruit at the same time. Then following up and having events to meet more people. And then how do you work with your team? Working with your new consultants, going to training with them, connecting, filling their needs, advancement, etc. And then, again, we go right back to the IPAs. Doing busy stuff versus business building. Okay, so we show them, again, IPAs and bring your team with you. And this is where part of that workbook comes in. Sponsoring is all about inviting enough people. If people say no one wants to join, you can't keep inviting the same 5 people. And you can give them ideas, whether they're on Messenger and they're noticing people, they're going to the gas station. Now we can brainstorm, how are they meeting people? So you may find the person in week 2 that does the first section would talk about time. The second person now goes back to planning their time, doing IPAs along their way and in their day. Okay, so you can get, again, going back to that. And talking about brainstorming, again, numbers matter. So we want to invite people, but then we want to interview. And this is again where they need to track every day. And the goal is to have at least 15 invites a week, because 4 invites will yield 1 recruiting conversation. That means they're going to invite 2 to 3 people who really take a look at the business each week. If they do that, they'll sponsor 1 person every week. That's what we're teaching before they're a manager, not after. They're very factual numbers. And we end with the system, purposeful action, blah, 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 okay? So how do we, again, just come with the formula to talk to people? It's called OCI, asking permission. It's observing people, complimenting and connecting them, and again, inviting them to sit down, take a look at the business, interview, and see if it's a fit. I don't care if it's a cup of coffee or if it's an interview on Zoom. Okay?
Jackie,
Yeah.
can you back up 1 second? You said the goal is to have 15 invitations a week, right?
Correct.
Which will basically
Conversation.
mean you're going to have roughly 15 invitations or 15 conversations.
15 invites, and then you have interview.
Okay, so
Okay.
you have 4 interviews from that roughly.
15 connections and then interviews. Yeah, because you will see here, you will end up with 15 invites. You will end up with about 3 recruiting conversations.
3 to
Those
4
recruiting will net
conversations.
1.
Right. So, but on this chart here, are we tracking, if you're saying 63 conversations, then that means that you're going to have like 250 some odd
No,
invitations.
talk to 3 people a day.
So this is not 63 recruiting
I'll
conversations.
change the word conversation.
This is 63 invitation conversations.
Connections.
Connections, okay.
Good point. I will change that. Good point. Yes, I'll call it connections. I like that a lot. Very good. So again, OCI is observing people, right? Whether you see them with talents, skills, qualities, lifestyle needs, income needs, career needs. Then you call and invite them, and then you connect and meet with them. Because those are more interviews, okay, versus a conversation. That's why it doesn't matter if it's conversation or connection. The key is when you invite, you then interview. Okay.
True, but it look, I mean, it's because you're calling them recruiting conversations, it's misleading.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so then that key is, remember you have 3 services. So we're again inviting them to see what serves their needs. They always feel pushy when sponsoring, so we remind them of who we are and what we offer. So then again, you could switch and end with, let's go to who. Again, I don't know that I would go through any of this. I have this here for you if you need it, based on your audience. So again, who is on your list? You just have to end with a list. These are brain triggers. Who loves product? Who loves you? Who dislikes their job? Who dislikes their finances? Who's looking for more? Who has that entrepreneur spirit or personality, okay? And then here's again some of the key questions, things they could do Facebook Live, things they could message with people. So this is really for you. If you need to use it and follow along with them, great. But I put this in so that you could help them end with this list. That this again is what they do with themselves and their team to always offer buying, beginning, and bookings, okay? So again, what did we give them for compliments to help? Here's a whole success quality sheet that, again, as we're building this list, here's some of the questions. So who do we know needs us? But who else do you know you'd love on your team? And you can pick some of these qualities. Again, you don't have to have these. They're in their workbook, but you don't need these slides. But this is like brain triggers as you both help them finish with their list. And here's some of that dialogue on what do you say as you are connecting with people. These are really kind of trainer tool slides. You can have so much fun with making this list as the last exercise together. But this just gives you some reference sheets, okay? You can't go through all these slides. It's too much. But just have some fun with it, because it really is a lot of scripting. And it just ends with, again, that's interaction. And it just ends with how to have that conversation. You connect, you ask questions when you get together with them, what they might be interested in. And again, what are those common questions? They want to know, how much does it cost? How much time does it take? How much money can I make? How do I get training? Blah, blah, blah. And just listen. This is not important, again, for them to have a ton of slides. This one's okay to do, but it's just getting them ready for those interviews. You can see I put a lot of training sheets in here for everyone to use in week 2, okay? Don't think week 2 you have all of this. I just know that's the conversations and the sponsoring tools that we're gonna need, okay? So we can always end any week with any of these. So everyone in week 2, there's a ton, but it's everything. Like if you're seeing they have objections, here's how to overcome objections. If you see they don't know how to prepare, to be focused, to look around and look for qualities or be open. These are the main toolkit for sponsoring is in week 2. Week 2, the key is you're doing the who, okay, and the OCI. So you're not going to go through much more than the who. They're ending with their list. So you're just brain triggering. Actually, you'll probably all do this every week. I did this every week. I worked with one of these key forms, okay? So why that key is that we're repeatedly what we do, or we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. So you will see, forgive me if week 2 feels like it's all that, it's not. It's really where I just kind of storehoused all of our trainer slides for you. When I do the slides for each week, this is just an overall big picture. I will do a trainer kit with all the sponsoring tools, and then I will do week 1, 2, 3, 4 of slides. They will not be this hefty, okay? You will see how I separate, but I wanted you to see the tools that we're gonna really use because that's where we really kick into what's called OCI, okay? So I hope that makes sense.
Reference
It is. You'll have a trainer tool guide, but I wanted you to see we're all going to probably always use those.
So
That's
Jackie,
the main thing. Yeah, let me come back.
something
Sorry.
that you might want to do with the workbook is have OCIs and the success qualities in the workbook, just because I think they're really good for.
I have the success qualities in there.
Do you? I didn't see them.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I have it in there.
There. Okay. I
Yeah.
got it.
So the thing I didn't do is all those handouts and documents. There's too much for a future manager. When she's a manager, that makes sense in my new promoting manager. I have them there for you, right? To engage the audience, to help them if they're paralyzed.
I just meant for the people that are downloading, the workbook. I think.
But that's in there. I have OCI and I have the quality.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
see
it's okay. No worries. So does that make sense though? You can see why I just heftied that?
Yep. Yeah.
Just get to know those sheets. That's everything in the world,
Okay.
right? So, or use them just for questions. I just highlighted all the questions and I always had that stack in front of me. Based on my audience, I had some who they couldn't sponsor. They felt pushy. They felt this and that. It was like, oh my gosh, no, you're not, right? So then I could pull that sheet out. And if I had to, I could pop it on screen. Or how do you sponsor? The 4 steps. Be prepared, be focused, be aware, right? So I wanted you to have those tools. I really didn't use anything more than those. They
No,
were
that's
always
perfect.
on my desk. They were so good. They were so organized. So yeah, so again, I don't want you to feel week 2, that's all yours. Not at all, okay? But I'll separate that. I just popped them in because I just had like 800 slides in the start and I couldn't think anymore. So just so you know my brain. So, all right, from there, let me, that's probably the heaviest one. All right, so here we go. Week 3, where do we meet more people? On the go, online. Where and how do we coach and celebrate? Where's my support and training for me and my team? This one, again, you'll see what you need to do, what worked, what challenges, what next. Always start with that same weekly sheet. And we talk about again in here, sorry, going back, again, how do I coach? How do I help people? What do I do? So I did put in here, and I'm not sure, but it's about your recruiting is a habit. You don't arrive at that destination like week one. So I have these in here. I'm not sure you'll need them, but I do like these here. What is a recruiting interview? This is kind of cool. That's that one sheet back here, okay? But this is really helpful and this I debated on the workbook as you were talking, Vicki. What is a template for a recruiting interview? I thought this was really good. And then again, we're recruiting all the time. Maybe we've talked about it for 2 weeks, but this is a habit we do every week with ourselves and we train our team to. So it's like a cute little checklist. So it opens up that conversation. Where do I keep sponsoring? How do I keep meeting people? So it really kind of is really easy to keep them realizing, okay, it's not about getting 4 people. It's having 15 conversations or connections will lead you to 3 interviews a week, will lead you to 1 sponsor a week. It's a weekly habit. So it's like brushing your teeth. So that's where we really put this in here for that reason. And then we brainstorm. Well, where do we go? I'll update this because I made it better this morning and it's all got a lot more fun things in it. But let's start with the social tool. These are tools we can use online, on Facebook, on the go. From bubble bath parties to bubble bath postings on January 7th to National Hot Tea Day. So I made it all better this morning, but you'll see fun things like this. Hey, it's Coaches Week. So what if we did this? It's Restaurant Month. What if we went and did a lead box at a restaurant? What if we did something for the servers? This is where we have some fun with them to show them how the world is full of reasons to connect to our beauty and our businesses. And again, they could go out each week, and 1 week they're going to host their own skincare party and give out samples and invites to a skin party. The next week, maybe it's the makeup week. The next week, maybe it's the spa week, the fragrance bar. So again, we're showing them that this is why we have the calendar. This is our theme parties based on the monthly brochure. So what are they doing to go out and engage new people? The goal is, how do they work with their team? Is really connecting back to their team. Why did they join? As a leader, you don't force people. We want to use what Jafra gives us. These are the 5 reasons people join direct selling. They want to have fun. They want flexibility. They love free stuff. They got to change their financial situation, and they love friends. They're craving community and support. So here we just talk about, remember, that's why people join. Your role as a leader, not responsible for their outcome, is to be their coach and their guide. Work with your manager to work with your team. VIP is the answer to a strong team, and for them, sponsoring strong team members. Double dipping. Welcome to Jafra VIP. So we don't leave free stuff on the table, and we're going to show our team how to join with their gig girlfriend or their business buddy so they make money 2 ways. Imagine just being a VIP and getting your first 4 consultants, you can double your income with our 11% and new manager bonus. Very simple, okay? Again, how do we guide them and support them? The packs, the programs, everything is here. We just have to stay connected and show them what we do and how they can do it. We always love to explain to them the 2 ways to payday, or maybe they have more income. Don't forget this reward. And when they are a leader, but wait, there's more, like you learned in week 1. And right now, there's not just jewelry, there's 2 cars, the Mercedes and the Mazda, but we're going to New Orleans. And 5 cash bonuses for leaders. So we just talk about what there is. The tools that we have in our welcome or 4 weeks to launch workbook, which is in units, is this checklist. Help your consultants ordering everything Jafra for their household. Show them what we have and what we have not so they see how to talk about and be proud of our Jafra business. Help them create how to have $400 weeks or months by choosing to share Jafra their way. So we just show them the tools. That's where their consultant support is when they go into Monday night trainings for their team. Remind them that we have the military program and that the best thing we can do is have them earn 400 month one for 50%, join with that business buddy, nutty buddy, girlfriend, gig girlfriend. That's the best thing, is when someone joins right away, they join with a friend. Again, how do you help people learn? Plug them into the calendar. Their consultants all go Monday night. Them and their future leaders all come Tuesday. And once they're a leader, there's coaching and training in red. In brown is all of the meetings where Jafra's in town. And those are your cities too. Boost on Facebook. Build those trainings. Once you're a leader, you will have new manager training. And when you're ready, you will also have the opportunity to learn about the Mazda program. So we just show them they have all of the support that they need. Remember, it's not about you, it's always about the who. Your results are the number of people you reach and touch daily, weekly, monthly. It's proportionate to the number of people is the amount of your income. And that is week 3. Okay, how's that? Making sense? All right, we got the who and we're down to the last one. Can you imagine putting this together? I'll tell you, your brain hurts. I have no words for it. All right, week 4. Now you have the weekly review. How do we finish the month? How do we wake up a team leader February 1st? How do we communicate, celebrate, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Now we're into the tips. Same thing, we start with this. Oh my gosh, here we go, rev it up. And this is just kind of fun. We want to bring back some leadership. We started with some mindset of leadership, and we also want to end strong with what a leader is. It's discipline, not adrenaline, right? Oh, try. No, let's make it, right? It's not God's will. No, it's not. It's you working. It's not about your moods or feeling. It's working with a plan and prioritizing the next 7 days to make it happen. So knowing the why of your team, so it's internal, not external. Don't lead by your emotions. Lead by convictions to make it happen. So it's kind of that final push week. Keep track of your team. Remember, you're going to get your 4, but we're going to go to get your next 4 and your next 4. Because once you arrive, we're going to get you ready for the next destination. You deserve it all. The key this week, again, you might do some brainstorming. Who sponsored this month? Tell us, where did you meet them? This is more of a brainstorming week. Look at your daily schedule, map out your hours, map out your contacts, your team. That's where that one form, this form really comes into play. That, okay, we've got a lot going on, but we got to work with our team to finish our team goals. We got to work with our own business to finish our own business goals. So really important. What's important to do this week? What do we do each day? We're at the countdown. So I need it on my calendar. Where can I go on the go? What can I do online? What am I going to do on the phone? Again, if we don't make a plan, it's not going to happen. So we're really into the when and the finish line. And again, just connecting with those sponsors that we have, okay? So as we're sponsoring, keep connecting, keep connecting, keep connecting. So that's really the last week. Oops, sorry. It's just, sorry, get my mouse going with me here. And it's done, that's fine. So I'm probably not going to duplicate this one, the second page here, but it's just questions again, making sure they feel really connected to their sponsor, that they understand what they want, helping them finish to VIP, keeping that balance. So you'll see that really, and I'll organize them a little bit, but you'll see the flow probably is anywhere from 8 to 10 slides. I'll take out that training unit, but it goes pretty quick, and you can either go 2 times, like one each person, and break it down and divide it into sections, or if you want to go back and forth on slides, there's no right and wrong based on your styles, okay? Whatever feels right to you. Overall, we tried to cover the who, what, when, why, and how. And so that's pretty much everything I could come up with that would be necessary. without it being overwhelming, so that they just really use the workbook. The key is the workbook has to match what we're teaching. And that's really what our intention is. So I think the 5 steps to a recruiting conversation in a clearer outline would be the only gap I see now that I'm presenting it for my first time. So any other feedback before we go? And I know I raced through it, but it'll make sense when you only have 1 week.
Yeah.
So doing the whole picture is the harder part.
Yeah.
Is there
Esther has-
anything you see missing?
I
Okay.
think it's very inclusive.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I like seeing what the other weeks are gonna be doing, because just in case if they have questions, we know that's been covered, and just reinsuring it somehow if we have time. And then Esther has a question, which I think obviously you can answer, but I would think it's for anybody, but I would suggest new consultants definitely do the Smart Start on Monday night.
Yes, please.
And to me, that's gotta be done first or together, back to back.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, if someone's brand new and she's like, I'm going right to leadership, and she goes
Yeah,
to both,
Gonna be
fine.
missing things.
The basics are over there. We're not here to do that. I'm not duplicating Monday night here. This is really leadership, and it's all about sponsoring and developing your team to be VIPs,
Mhm.
really. And really creating weekly habits that help you sponsor weekly. Because we see them go to leader and they stop. They did not arrive. So you can see, I'm trying to overcome a lot of objections that happen to our new leaders by
Yeah.
teaching recruiting habits. At the end of the day, that's the gap. And you all know it, if you're not sponsoring 2 a month yourself, good luck.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest, your team won't ever sponsor, let alone are you
Mhm.
going to maintain your team with any potential growth. So I'm trying to talk about weekly sponsoring far more than I am anything else. So
It's their why and when.
exactly. And so, you know, I really took a whole different approach on that. So, and then that new manager orientation really aligns to it as well. But it's all consistently the same content. Nothing really changes. Now I'm going to teach them how to find leaders in the next step. Right? So we go from OCIing recruits to OCIing leaders. They're developing time in the 3 buckets of time management is really developing those consultants.
Right.
So it's not quite leaders yet, but they might have potential leaders. But we want them to see they're not doing all the training. Plug
Right.
people in, plug people in,
Mhm.
right? So, but again, holding launch parties for their team. So if they're like, yeah, but I can't do anything. Did you do the checklist on how to work with your team members in the workbook? The workbook is what they see. Your training tools are there to help you maybe stimulate questions, overcome objections or obstacles they're hitting. With
And
all
they're
those
connecting with their
one-page.
upline too, to make
Right.
that happen. You know, they're having those daily check-ins and weekly, you know,
Mhm.
check-ins with their upline.
You know, that's a really good thing. When you see this, because Marie brought this up, you get even more in a future manager week. Trust me. You will get so many things that aren't working. A lot of that is no one's really showing them how. Truthfully, that's what I saw many times. So I would always just say, rather than let someone go on for 10, 15 minutes, like Marie said, I would say, you know, let me pause a minute. How many of you feel the same way? So I'm going to give you just a quick feedback on a thought or where you could find training on that in units.
Mhm.
So let me talk about that first. And then secondly, this week when you have your call with your leader, or even in your WhatsApp group, sometimes you'd see a question going in WhatsApp, because I said, go into your Smart Start, back then it was Smart Start Advanced, go in there and why don't you ask that question there and see what we get as responses. So rather than me solve everything, right, I was always trying to make sure that I did training and then asked. Because if you ask first, half the time it's in your training.
Right.
Right? So I would just kind of lead with, here's what we're going to go through. Let's do this section and then we'll get to this section, which I can clean up on the cover slide first a little bit more. But it flowed really well But I found that strategy versus listening to someone with the same, well, she said this and then she doesn't do it. And then she said that. Remember, that's why we started with week 1. Like you said, Donna, the reason I had to go through all 4 sections, normally I'd do both of you separately. I find in this format, this really matters. So you see what each week is. So you can go, oh, you haven't hit week 1. We'll cover that next month in week 1. Or, you know, here's a peek at week 2. Look at the slides and talk to your leader about that in the units. Right? So go ahead, Marie.
I was just gonna say, like, we would do that with, you know, like on week 1, because that's we did first week, and a lot of times they're coming in, you know, they've already done that. So we would just say, you know what, you need to go to week 3, because that's where they're gonna cover that in tools. And to address Donna, sometimes you're gonna be asking questions that don't have really anything to do with your week, but it depends on who's on, you know, if it's their first week, if it's when are they actually getting in onto it. So they could be, their first week could be on week 4 and they haven't even done week 1, 2, and 3. So they, you know. So
and that's okay. Exactly. That's okay. Remember
right.
to respect the week you have.
Exactly. Right. So just say, you know, we're not going to cover that this week, but that would be a great week for you to get on week 2. Because that's what we're going to do.
And remember, they've all qualified without this training before, okay?
Right.
So their emergency to their answers is not your urgency.
Right.
Stick to the weeks as you have it. You said it perfectly right. So it's
Marie.
okay. Your content is your content of the week. They can come back even if they're new and go through this, because there's a lot in here that matters as a leader. Every leader could go through this, right? So it's just really creating recruiting habits and team development habits. That's all this is about. So there's really nothing about, oh my gosh, you know, shoot, I'm going to qualify and I won't even have week 1. Now I can't qualify because I didn't go to week 1. Okay, no, that's not the point, right? So come back next month. Qualify this month, it's okay. Just get through the 4 weeks.
Right.
And if you really need it, it's in units. Take a look at it. Review it with your manager in your coaching time this week.
Right. And really stress that the workbook is a downloadable workbook. So many people are like, I didn't get my workbook. I never got my workbook. It's like,
yeah, you did. So
where's the workbook? I think that was the most asked question. Where's the workbook? Where do I find the workbook?
Yeah, constantly. So it does. So, and again, this one, we don't have a lot of control. You're always going to say units. And we'll upload it every so often, because if they just join WhatsApp, they can't see previous messages.
Right.
If they're in that group.
Right.
So we may just post it every Tuesday morning. If we're seeing new members, I may just do that naturally. You don't have to, don't worry about it. I'll just keep track of that because I'll be adding leaders. So once I add leaders, if I've seen new consultant or other consultants come in, then I'll upload it. Okay, so that I just know that law of order. It's like a system.
Isn't the workbook on WhatsApp, when you click into links, you know, that would be in there?
It's
regardless of
only,
when they come in?
so for example, I was added to the group later than you guys. So I cannot see any links posted before. I cannot see any conversation posted before I was added. So if somebody comes in and there's,
you know,
I
when you
can't
click
see
on
any of that. I can't see any of that.
No,
The
it's only
thing I
when they
can
come
see-
in the group, they see the feed after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, I am done recording. I've got my next webinar. Hi, Linda. Hi, Vicki. So I just want to say thank you for today. I'm going to do all my little tweaks tonight. We'll have everything fresh and loaded. You can use what you've got. You've seen it now. You understand it a little bit more. But I'll tweak it and have everything fresh and ready to go sometime tomorrow morning early, so we're ready to take off. If you're week 1 on Tuesday and you're feeling panicky, don't. Okay, just enjoy it, have some fun. I know I've got the experts on week 1, but just saying, go have some fun with it. If you start to practice and you come up with questions, or you want me to hop on with the both of you on a camera with anything, feel free to do so. Okay, so I'll just do my cleaning up. But thank you so much. I am so excited. I think this is going to be great. It may take us a spin to get it rolling, but I think it's just what we need out here.
I love the system.
Me too. I'm so excited. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you for doing this. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everybody.